first-timer for a dancer conference. I think it's a wonderful community to be with, and yes, it was on Monday, 1 o'clock in the Netherlands, that I got a okay from my boss that yes, you're right to go to Vienna for the dancer conference. And I just had about 4 hours to book my tickets into a plane and pack my suitcase and do everything. And had just a couple of hours to prepare my slides for today. So my slides are a jumble of some presentations I gave over the last couple of years. And I think this is the first time I do it in a setting where it makes sense. They're all being pieces, and I think today you will see the first time that they all come together. Why I did it and how I did it. I called my presentation called Quickstep. I'd come up with some kind of funny name for it. Quickstep is a kind of dancing that should be quite quick. That's what the name says. You could do slow dances, you could do all kind of dances. But I'm talking about speeding up your dancer applications, your web applications, build on top of dancer, making sure they're being fast. In a way that is not concerned to dancer at all. This is all about external things. I gave a presentation a couple of weeks ago in Cluj, making the first hard thing easy. You might know a very famous quote from Phil Carlton. If you don't know Phil Carlton, he's the guy that wrote most of the stuff on X-Window systems. He was one of the guys that wrote a lot of Netscape browsers, so he does very well know what he's talking about if it's about HTTP and the internet. This guy is more easy to find on the internet, by the way. Phil Carlton is very hard to find on the internet. Me, that's my CPAN handle. I work for a company called Broadbean Technologies in the UK. Very nice company. If you want to have any kind of exciting experience of how it is to work in London, which is a very nice city to work, Broadbean is always looking out for new people. I have to say it from my boss. And the other thing, I'm captain of Act Voyager. You had a wonderful presentation this morning, no act on Act, and I have to admit, there is hardly any progress on Act. And I was very upset with it myself. This is one thing I was very concerned about when I was going to my first conference 3 years ago in Kiev. My first encounter with proper Perl people, except from the few guys I met a couple of months before in the Netherlands. And I took my iPhone. Let's get the schedule. What is my thing I'm going to attend now? And you know all what's going to happen if you take your mobile devices and you look up the schedule. It's horrible. And I think, what? We are Perl developers. We are the top-notch people on developing stuff. We know exactly how to build a website, and we... Never mind. So, if I want to go mobile first, I'm thinking of iPhones, web applications, responsive web design, one-page web design, whatever you want to build, but it all needs a proper REST API. And that was what I was thinking, let's create a REST API for Act. So there should be something like, give me a list of all the talks, and then you will get a nice header back with some interesting stuff there, and you will get a list of resources back, and that was what I was thinking about. That should be a REST API. It's not too complicated, but my REST API, there were some concerns. I wanted to have either JSON back or I want XML back. I want to have them multilingual because we are not English. We are in Europe. We speak different languages. And I want to have simple resources. We have all these nice big JSON structures. You get back with everything you asked for, and on top of that, a lot of stuff you didn't ask for but might be useful. But I want to have simple because when they're simple, they're going to be cacheable. So, there was a guy that said to me that, Theo, you will never make it. You will don't ever get it finished. And he might be right, because writing a REST API, and I've decided already to use Dancer for it, is going to be a nightmare. There are some plugins that will help you, but this one, for example, if you do not provide your accept header, it will come back with a 500 error. Where if you don't have a accept header in your request, it shouldn't come back with a 500 error and you blew up the server. No, there is a 406, my sweater is over there, 406 not acceptable, that should be the proper response. So script this one. This one, plugin REST. If you want to do some content negotiations or you want to have different file formats, you have to append the file format. If you don't do that, you'll get a 404 back. And I think, not really the way I thought REST would be. Multilingual stuff, what they think about multilingual stuff, very handy if you are going to build a website. You just add in your language tag somewhere in the middle of your URL and it will be fine. It works. But still, I think there must be a better way to do stuff. The other ones, they conflict with your HTTP the definitions and the design of it. They conflict with status codes and they're wrong in some place and they can send in patches and do this, that. You know what, let's do it a little bit different. I wrote a plugin called HTTP Content Negotiation, which does accept headers, accept language headers, accept encoding, accept char set, whatever you want to change in your request or in your response, it will handle it. I'll come back later to this. Something about caching, the very tiny module, and it doesn't do any caching. It might do caching, but it will help you to create a response that helps the caches in between to do proper caching. Conditional requests, make sure that you return a, 304 if your responses are still the same. Your cache can then say, alright, I get it, or and use the cache version instead of the new version. I'll come back to that later, maybe tomorrow. Or it will help you to resolve these problems where in a stateless situation you are trying to update a resource you already have updated by somebody else. You don't want to overwrite these changes. And auth extensible, don't ask me about this one. Good. And of course, I don't like to have a whole list of HTTP plugins there in my headers, in my Dancer application. I just use HTTP bundle and it does everything for you. Good. One thing I was thinking of, we Perl people actually don't like modern web design, we don't like responsive web design, we don't like web at all. It's too complicated to, you know what, we want to have a command line interface. So it looks like something like this. This was a proof of concept I was trying to work on. And just like this, you want to have a list of talks and you get some numbers in front of it and then you could say, give me the details of this specific talk and there it comes. Yes, funny enough, again, Peter, you're a famous man. Your talk comes up every time. Good. That's what I was thinking of, proof of concept. So what you need to write a command line interface is probably a user agent. But since I already said my resources will be very simple by design, make them cacheable, make it happen that if you want to have a list with a little bit more details of your talks, with who's presenting them and what's the title, how long will it take, you get more details. Every time you need to go back to the server and give me the details of this talk, give me the details of that talk. It goes on and on, you will end up with a bunch of requests. But only once if you could do something like caching. Well, what is caching all about? Caching is about storing your stuff secretly, hide it for other people's. Don't show anything and I will grab it later on if I need it quickly. But this is not the kind of caching I'm talking about, of course not. This guy is very fun. He knows how to store stuff and he has his own caches. I'm more about speeding up the internet. And speeding up the internet is a design thing. This is not something that's just recent invented. In 1993, Roy Fielding, one of the founders of Apache HTTP project, he was very concerned about scaling and decided, you know what, if we want to have scalable web, we make a client server, we make sure that servers and clients have only one thing they talk about, one API, uniform interface. It's a layered system, that means that you don't know what's in between, and that's happening before because of this interface. Should be cacheable, he said. And then there should be stateless and some other things like don't go there. Good. So caching, it's not that hard. It's just a 40-page document, and it will tell you how to do that properly. And mainly, it's going about these things. It's about how to store your responses. It's about how to reconstruct your responses if you get a new request. And it's dealing about some other things like variance, and it's dealing about freshness. Is your response still fresh or not? If not, if it should be invalidated or revalidated. And then there are a bunch of header fields. Not much, surprisingly. So one of those header fields I will be talking about, and this is a presentation I gave 2 years ago in London the first time. One of the header fields is the expire date. And it's one of the things you probably shouldn't use at all. Why shouldn't you use it? Because we have different things that will override this value. HTTP 1, yes, that's fine. HTTP 1.1, no, don't use it. Very important things in the caching stuff are the validation headers. We have two of them. That's the e-text, not the ear text, but these serial numbers. It's the kind of thing that will identify your resource uniquely on your entire application. Anytime you update your resource, you do a change in your database and your data has changed, don't use it again, give it a new version number, and it will make sure that you will always have the correct stuff, uniquely identified. Or the date last modified is one that is being used for validation and revalidation. If you have already a resource and you want to make sure that it's not been changed since that day, you have a special header that goes with your request and make sure it's happening. If, for example, you have a proper stuff in your cache already, it will come back with a 304, it's not modified, and your cache will be just serving the stuff that's in your cache instead of getting a new resource, saving a lot of transport on the wire. So, the other one is the vary header. You can have different versions of your responses in different colors, sizes, languages, different formats, whatever. So, before we had HTTP 1.1, the old days, this is what you would do with your cache. This is the kind of stuff you can do with it. It's hard, it's ancient, we don't do it. If you don't have proper stuff to control your caches, you will end up with something like this. You will have your cache going to melt down, and that's funny with this guy, but this is a serious thing. You don't want to have this. Disasters. And since we don't want these disasters, people say, you know what, forget about it. Forget about caching. We don't do caching because it's dangerous. It's freaking us out. It's going wrong. Yes, it goes wrong. It goes wrong constantly. And I'll tell you later on, but I can help you. And I will come to the rescue. Because since we have HTTP 1.1, and we have it for a long time, not just recent, we're going to go to HTTP 2 soon. We have modern control. We have modern stuff that can help us to control the stuff we're using. And being in control is something we're very happy with. And this is one of the things that I'm talking about. In your left-hand side, you will have your request side where you can have your cache control. You have a max age and max, and then we'll go on. And on the response side, you have some other stuff you can put in your cache controller, cache control, and they mirror a bit of, not completely. I will go in detail for a few of them. One of them is the max age, very handy. You don't want to have too old stuff in your cache for some reason. Might look ugly. Too old stuff, you don't want to use it again. But even though some designers on the side of the REST API have decided, yeah, you know what, you can only use these resources for a specific time, you can use it for an hour. Sometimes you think to yourself, I know better. Yes, I have my stuff in my fridge, and my fridge says, I can still eat this. If you go to the supermarket and buy your stuff, it will have a date on it, like best before use or use before best, whatever. You have to look at it. And sometimes the supermarket says, yeah, you can still use it. We get it out for a reduced price, 35% off. Albert Heijn does it very much in the Netherlands. Get your stuff cheaper. And you know better. One day after best before use, you can still eat it. Fine. Max Stale is a very handy cache control directive. Max Stale will say, it's fine, if it's a little bit more old than this, I can still use it. If in the cache for an hour too long, fine. Another thing about food and having feasts, in the Netherlands we have these shops that close down during Christmas and Easter, and especially when you're in a very unhappy situation, we have Christmas that's shut down, and Christmas, the second day after Christmas, it will be shut down, the shop. And would that be on a Saturday, then you're in a very unlucky situation because on Sunday, it's the third day, the shops are closed. So what are we going to eat on that Sunday, or maybe Monday breakfast? You go to the shop and you look at your stuff and, yeah, whoa, it's fresh for 2 days. No, it needs to be fresh for 4 days, so you can plan in your shop what you're going to buy and what you're not going to buy. Now why I'm telling this is because there is a cache control directive in your request that you can say, well, if I get all my stuff together, I still need 5 seconds to process my data and my stuff before I can give you a new response back. So there's a minimal fresh cache control directive that can say, it needs to be fresh for at least another 5 seconds or 10 seconds. You can control what's in your cache and how you can use it. That's all about. Funny ones. Cache can do more than just store your data. For example, if you have a JavaScript giant thing in your cache already, and then your request comes in with the content negotiation stuff and says, I want to have a gzip version of it. Why go all the way back to your original server and request the gzip version? The lucky one, your gzip version is smaller than your unzip version. It would be more horrible if you would be the other way around. If you have your gzip version and go for the unzip version, you get a huge file back. Well, your cache can actually say, you know what, I can unzip it myself, give you what you want to have. What about char sets, yes. If you have a Latin 1 version, your cache can just decide, you know what, I can transform it in UTF-8 if you want to. JPEG into PNG conversions, your cache can handle it. But if you don't want it, there is a cache control directive that says, do not transfer. Things that are funny, and I think we don't use it that much at all. Now, there's an interesting one here, the no cache one in your request. Any idea what a no cache will do?
There's a weird thing with IE6 that doesn't really understand no cache correctly.
Well, shoot IE6. And by the way, I'm talking about REST APIs, so we don't have any IE6, but still, you're right. The no cache. Any idea what no cache will do if you put it in your request headers? You think it would not take something from the cache?
Sounds like that.
Yeah, no, sorry. If there is a resource in your cache already, the only thing it will do is check with your origin server if it's still valid, and if you still get it out of your cache, if it's still valid. The other one, another funny one, is this one, must revalidate. It is in your response header. If it's in your response header, What do you think it will mean to the cache and to your clients? Whatever coming there? So you as a designer says, yeah, this resource, you must revalidate it. Does it? No. It's not going back to the server for every request. Only if it's stale, only if it's out of date, if it's old enough, only then it will go back to the origin server. But it must go back to the origin server if it's invalid, and if it can't reach your server, then it will say, sorry, I can't do it. Otherwise, if it does not have the must revalidate header there, it can serve you a stale thing. It's very handy if you have a laptop and you have no connection, like me. I have no connection at this moment. I could serve stale content if I want to. Other things very important for caches, it was written in the RC, and I already mentioned this, you have to once in a while the stuff in your cache that you don't want to use it. Why don't you want to use it? There are some methods in your HTTP requests that are unsafe, like post, put, delete, patch. They're going to change it, and if you have changed it, you better not get it back with a GET request. So you have to trash those things. Get rid of them. Good, I'm moving on a little bit further. Not enough about headers and about the HTTP caching stuff as the specs itself. I gave a talk, I think a year ago in Grenada about international stuff, and I was complaining bitterly that people don't read the RFCs. This is what's going to happen if you don't read the RFCs. So I mentioned briefly at the beginning that I was looking for a module called LWP user agent caching question mark. It will be out soon. So there are these with cache. So the with cache, it works. It has a handle if modified since thing, and it does actually do the e-tag thing. It doesn't describe it in the documentation, but if you read the code, then yes, it does handle the e-tags. However, it only works with results that are having a 200 code. Funny enough, there are more stuff that comes back from your server that you can store in your cache. Doesn't do any invalidation, so if you have a put request going through or a delete request and you ask again for a get request, you get your old stuff. And doesn't do any kind of thing with cache control. Another one, this one is built on top of the previous one, so the same goes for here. LWP user agent cached. There are more modules on the internet. That's the fun of CPAN, isn't it? Doesn't do anything with if modified synth. Oh, that's awkward. Doesn't have to do anything with e-tags. It doesn't do, it doesn't do anything actually. The only thing it's good for is that, for example, if you do a lot of web scraping and you want to collect your data, what it does, it gets all the responses back, stores them in the hard drive. Next time you visit the URL, it will get them from the hard drive. It has so its use case. But actually, what it does say in the documentation, it says it fits my needs. And that's the thing with CPAN. CPAN fits always your personal needs, and that's why you put it on CPAN and everybody's going to scream loud, and oh, it doesn't work away, and that's why we don't use caching. Another one, cache. Okay, this guy is a little bit more concerned. It does with modified since, e-tags. It does a little bit of no cache and no store. That's about it. But the other things, no. Go on. Yeah, no. Okay, this one, transparent. Yes. It doesn't even range. I've never seen range in any request, but that's me. Okay, but the other things, no. This one. Yay! Oh, sorry. That one. Yay! Yeah. And not yet. Invalidation is not yet implemented in the module I'm working on, soon to be released. But HTTP caching is finally something that adheres to the RFCs. Finally, we can do caching. Like I said, work in progress. HTTP caching is one of the modules that I built myself, and that's the brains behind the LWP user agent caching. I did this because there are more stuff I'm going to work on. Mainly, it does one thing: may store and cache. It's a question that you have to ask any cache. I get a response, can I put it in a cache? Yes or no? You don't put 300 results in your cache. You don't put too many 400s, 300s, hundreds, 500s, one, I think. So don't store everything there. Then the very important question, if you have a resource in your cache and a request comes in, can you reuse it? That's what the RC 40 pages is all about. These two questions. That's why nobody wrote it. And it does a forward function for you. If it can't figure out itself, it will forward back to the user agent or whatever things in between to do the request and contact the origin server. Now that's all fine. I wrote my user agent that can now handle caching. Woohoo! I can be very happy with my command line interface for my Act Voyager project I was working on. But it's all rubbish the moment you start talking to them. I'm sorry, guys. So, rest assured, it's a presentation I gave a year ago in London and this year as well in the Netherlands. And one thing it's talking about is HTTP caching, how to speed up the whole thing, the internet. And the few things it does is, here in the middle, it has a answer keywords, and we all love keywords, HTTP cache, max age, and a number. Yes, you could build this response header yourself and say, I want to have a header, cache control, blah blah, and it needs to have max age, colon, 3600, and you know it's all going to be error prone. Typos, what about if I put a string in it instead of a number? So this way you protect your stuff against these small errors. HTTP cache public, the HTTP expires string, it actually checks if it's a HTTP date format. So that's helped you a little bit there. It doesn't do any caching at all, but this is what your response will look like. It does have the expires now, it does have the cache control, max age is 3600, and it will say public. And less errors, better code. The other one I've been working on, the conditional request. So, I already told you, the specs, the RFCs say that you can have one single resource in multiple representations. This is what it's going to do. How does it look like? There in the middle you have a conditional request. Oh, conditional request, sorry. Conditional request, come back to my, I confused myself here, sorry. Conditional requests are actually like if you have a resource and you want to check if it's, there's a laser pointer, is it? There. If it's modified since a specific date, you get your resources here somewhere and you say, yes, it's all fine. My last updated version is this date. You do a GET request now, and it comes in with the request header modified since, or if modified since, then it will now say yes or no. Actually, it might have not been modified, and you get your resource back. No, you get a 3 or 4 back. It's more easy. No waste of stuff in your internet. So it's like here, you put your HTTP conditional here, your last modified, or you could put any E tag here. Both will work. It will work for GET requests. It will handle different for put and post. Here, for a put request, it does the opposite. You will come back with a request that says if not modified since, or if your E tag is still the same like I had. So there's one. Oops. Where did you go? Here. There's very important one here is that require is true. This will prevent that you will not accidentally update your resources. How does it do that? Well, if I just put my request with a content application JSON and whatever, it will say precondition required. You just don't want to accidentally have other people overwrite your stuff, even if you don't know anything about your API. This would be very useful. Build it in. So now you can add this if unmodified request header in it, and still come back with an error, because it probably might have been changed since that date, and this will prevent you from updating other people their edits. What you do with it will probably, I don't know, on your client side, maybe you will do another get request, get the data back from the other guy that updated and show them this has been changed, are you okay with this? Well, if your resource has been changed since this date, it might be say, yeah, alright, it's fine. Good. Content negotiation. I need to speed up a little bit. So I made a small hash with some data structure in it, like this. I have some greetings in English and German. And this is my interesting bit. It goes here, it wants you to use the HTTP conditional, the choose language, sorry. Which one do you want to choose? Well, I have a list of languages I have from this hash, wherever you come them from, and it will execute a subroutine depending on what you want to do, and it has a very funny keyword for the answer HTTP chosen language, so it will get the right language from your hash now. And if you don't provide one, it will fall back to English. So how will it work out in my normal request? If I don't specify any except language, I will get back my English one, and the proper one for this one, if you're Austrian and you want to have your Austrian version of your greetings, you will get the German one. I didn't provide Austrian, if you look very well, but proper language negotiation knows that, oh, you chop off the AT stuff and then I will have DE version. Yes, alright, that will work as well. Media types, more or less the same thing in content negotiation. You have different types of media, and then you have different ways to generate the content. You could do this as well, because these ones, they're already provided by Dancer. You think, why would I do that? Well, maybe you want to generate PNG file from the user. I don't know how you want that from text, but maybe you have in your database somewhere, and you can still have a picture of a file guy. And I do a default with undef. And this is what I come back with, what the mutable does. Dancer plugin mutable goes wrong here. Do a request without any specification. It will come back with now a 406 non-acceptable. I said it's required now. So if it says application JSON, it will come back with JSON. Then the horrible thing, the HTTP auth extensible. This happened to me. Very thankful for the patch that came in. My whole module has been changed. Peter, thank you very much. We'll have to go through it and make sure it's going to work again. But basically, HTTP require role admin will make this whole subroutine conditional. If you're not an admin, you can't do this, and if you are an admin, you'll be fine. So, the HTTP bundle, like I said, this is too much code. We don't want that. We want simple code. And with this, you will get now all the nice things with caching, your HTTP caching keywords, your expire controls. No, still no caching of this plugin itself. It will come back with a 304 or a setup for the other error message if you do your conditional requests. It will figure out if they're safe or not safe. Content negotiation for choose language, choose media type, but the other ones as well, like encoding or character sets. Not acceptable. It will come back actually with a very header, something that people forget about. And then, because we're talking about APIs and not with login pages, this is the way your APIs will say unauthorized or forbidden. So that was my Rest Assured presentation. Back to this. my REST API now finally can work. Finally I can create a REST API that knows everything about the headers, a REST API that knows about content negotiation, about the entire REST stuff. So, Act Voyager. Act, Raki has spoken a lot about it and said there is no Act on Act. Well, this is what happened when I started working on Act. You get now a bunch of modules as a side effect of it. You get HTTP caching, you get a working LWP user agent caching, and if I'm finished with that one, I will work on the Black middleware version, and I will work on an any event version, because my colleague said if you can make it asynchronous, then we can rip out a bunch of code where we're doing our own caching. We have our profiles of our candidates. We think we are fine with it for 24 hours, and we build our own database, and we can get rid of it, and just use your normal HTTP caching stuff, and say max age is 24 hours, well, in seconds, whatever. That's working. You don't have to build your own cache anymore. And what more? Yes, because we're on a Denser conference, the side effects of working on Act Voyager. Bundle, HTTP caching, and conditional request, and all these things, all these modules, built because I ran into a problem working on Act. The guy was right. I couldn't build a new version of Act just out of the box. But now I've changed all this stuff. I finally can write REST APIs. I finally can move on to make a responsive website, doing all these nice, funny things on mobile first. Great iPhone application that has a REST API. And that's what it was all about. And thank you very much.